Righty ho, tribe. This guy, if you're watching on YouTube, there he is. He's a dear friend. He's a mentor of mine. He's a heck of a golfer, and he happens to be a pastor, an associate pastor at Church of the Highlands. It's Brandon Isbell. Now, Brandon, look, people, he's not relative of Jason Isbell for all you musos out there. This is Brandon. How are you doing, my friend? Welcome to our show.
Oh, it's great to be on. It's great to see you. And it's always an honor you, man, and all that you do for the profession. So thrilled to be on. And I've never met Jason Isbell. I often wonder, because I get asked if I know him all the time. I wonder, you know what? I wonder if he gets asked if he's related to Brandon. And I doubt it very seriously. However, maybe one day I'll get to meet him. So
Well,
great to be on.
Well, I'm kind of related to someone famous in our industry, and I get called Trevor fairly often. Actually, not that much anymore, which is a change of scenery. But anyway,
Yeah.
just to put this conversation into context for the folks listening and watching, Brandon and I caught up for coffee here recently in the morning, and it was one of those just, I guess, Brandon checking up on me more than anything else. And it turned into a conversation about golf and faith and handling adversity and managing emotion. And I remember looking at him going, I wish I had my recording equipment here right now because the global tribe, this on the mark tribe, needs to hear this because so much of golf and the folks who listen to this thing often, Brandon, they know me that I approach the game from a very holistic standpoint. I'm very much about overall well-being, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and I wish I could record then. So I'm going to do my very best to kind of lead this conversation so we can get back to that place. So how about we kick it off like this? And here was, I think, the subject. And I'm coming fresh from Pebble Beach, where the weather was apocalyptic at one stage, and you saw folks not handling it well. You saw folks handling it very well with their attitudes, and it got me to thinking that, this game we play, and in fact, any athlete listening to this and any mom or dad or business person, you put your best foot forward and you invest, but you never really know. And especially in golf, I mean, we can practice all day, all week long, and the following round of golf may be disastrous. So let's kick it off there with us like, all right, let's do the right thing. Let's practice. Let's live right, but we're not necessarily guaranteed that we are going to get exactly what we're looking for and that there's something maybe larger at play.
Well, you couldn't be more spot on. I heard one of my dear friends, he said a quote one time. His name is Mo Pickens. He said, life is so much about what you do with what you've been given.
Mm-hmm.
And when you really think about the heart behind that, to your point, it's we all have the blessing of being alive and having purpose and doing the best with what we've been given every single day. What a blessing it is to have breath in our lungs, and the perspective and the motivation behind every day when we wake up dictates a lot of the direction and the journey we're on. And so perspective and the motivation behind what you do every single day, whether it's on the golf course or in faith, it's so important. Self-control, we talk about that a lot, but it truly is. It's just self-control is taking control of what you can control.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot that we can't control, but there's a whole lot that we can control. Our perspective, our attitude, the way we treat others, encouraging others, finding the silver lining in something when it doesn't look like there is one.
Yeah.
All those things, our friendships. And so there's so much good that can come into things that happen unexpectedly.
Uh, you made a quip to me when we were together, and I typed it into my phone quickly so I didn't forget. And you basically said clarity is the enemy of faith. And we sort of
Yes.
live in a very transactional society right now, and every golfer listening to this, they want to improve. That's why they download this thing, and they're like, "Well, I'm going to get advice, and I'm going to go and do this, and then I'm going to get better," is what they're thinking. But they may not get better, or you might do the right thing, and then things don't go the way you're expecting. I want you to build on that a little bit because when you said clarity is the enemy of faith, I was like, that is gospel. But my goodness,
Hmm.
that's difficult to really grab hold of and make a part of one's mantra.
Yeah. Well, oh man, there's so many similarities to because I love golf and
You're good at it too.
I'm a man of faith
Mhm.
and well I love I don't know about that, but I do I truly love it. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard PGA guys or friends or even people I play with say, you know, you got to trust it. You have to when you take the club back, you have to trust yourself. And so many times we don't. And the proof of belief is found in action. And that is the truth that the Bible, which I'm a man of the gospel and I follow Jesus, you know, he's very clear that it's that faith is the evidence of something you may not see with your own eyes. And so it's so important in our life because, you know, there's three things that, you know, God can't do. He can't tell a lie. He can't break a promise, and he cannot be pleased without faith. And when we have faith in Him, there's so much that pleases Him. But when it translates in golf, we stand over that golf ball, and we don't trust ourselves. There's a lot of faith that has to take place and has to happen. And but the point is that if in the Christian faith, if you knew the proof, if you had proof of something, it would not require faith. And it's the same thing with our golf, and it's the same thing with our walk with Jesus. Um, that the proof of something doesn't require any faith at all.
You get me thinking because part of our conversation we spoke about Davis Thompson, who's a young man that you used to
Hmm.
mentor and counsel. He's a friend of yours, and he recently,
Yes.
in 2023, he was going head to head with John Rahm at the American Express event out in Palm Springs. And as a young man, he's fresh on the tour, and it was almost a David and Goliath story, you know, where you got the little Davis and the big John Rahm kind of thing, and John Rahm's
Yeah.
got this big presence about him, and he's sort of difficult to compete with because of just how he comports himself. Yet the whole time, Davis Thompson just looked like he was just okay with everything that was going to happen. If he won, it was going to be great. If he didn't win, it was going to be fine. And he gave some concise, albeit very wise answers to a lot of the questions that the media would ask him, and it sort of smacked of everything that you said. It's like he's like, well, I've done the right thing, and if I go out and just play my game, then it is what it is. I've done all I can do. Beyond that is sort of, I don't want to say fate, but it's up to fate to a certain extent.
Totally. And you know, you practice so hard. You know, these guys, they're professional athletes. They've been given the ability um, to play golf for a living and be the best in the world at it. And isn't it interesting how they still have doubt in their life, whether it's standing over a shot or over on a tee box? I was thinking about hole 72 with Davis. He hits his second shot over the green, and he's short sighted himself with the pin, and he's having to chip up. I mean, there's no way to spin it. There's no way to. He's just looking at this, and I can only imagine when he's standing over it with millions of people watching, and he's practiced this shot his whole life. That man, there's still some doubt that could easily rise up in him in that moment. But you really have to go back to, you know what? At the end of the day, I put in the work. I have faith in myself. I have faith that if it's going to work out, it's going to work out. And I'm going to stay focused, control what I control, take the club back, hit the shot. And he almost hold it for a chip in birdie. But yeah, it's a great point.
You 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 say that because we've all been there. Everyone listening to this podcast, you've been there as a golfer yourself. But fear. Sam Snead said fear is the biggest wrecker of a golf swing in the game because it
Hmm.
causes tension.
Hmm.
Tension just wrecks everything. But we've all been there, no matter our quality level, as you speak of your skill level. Um, and it seems to all of a sudden this fear, this doubt, this apprehension, anxiety even sort of comes in waves at one, and it seems like a tidal wave. Yet what you say, you need just a little faith to kind of stem this tide a little bit and at least focus your attention elsewhere because that's what it is, right? It's not looking at all the bad stuff. It's choosing to look at the fact that, yeah, I have practiced. Yes, I'm ready for this. Yes, I belong, etc., etc. Am I onto something
Yeah.
here?
Oh, you're spot on. And fear is not an indicator that you've done something wrong. Fear is a core emotion. It's a natural emotion. It's not a bad emotion. What happens is we allow the fear to take over, or the doubt or the worry to take over our life. And what, to your point earlier, it causes your heart rate to increase, and your hands to get tighter, and you grip the club tighter, and all those things, when you really have to manage those emotions. A lot of people think fear is bad and doubt is bad. No, it's no, it's not. When you're unaware of it, or you're not sure how to handle it, then that's where things begin to spiral. Arnold Palmer said that the game of golf is won between the ears. Really, not the strength in your body; it's the strength in your mind.
Mm.
And I'm not a pro golfer, I'm nowhere near one, but I can only imagine how important it is to every single golfer just to manage that, to have self-care, to have great habits, to allow that confidence every single swing, to really drive what they do. Because again, fear is not a bad thing, but our response to it could lead to a bad thing.
And part of that response is almost like I would say it's a continual reset of the mind. I mean, to me, I almost
Mm-hmm.
imagine, my computer, when my phone, when it locks up, then you're hitting like escape, 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 or control, alt, delete, and you're sort of resetting the system. And the mind,
Mm-hmm.
the computer was built on, right? So this
Yeah.
resetting of the mind, that's a continual endeavor, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I've studied some of this, and again, I'm no psychologist or neurologist, but I do know that our nervous system can be reset. That we can, by identifying some of those core emotions, whether it's joy, fear, sadness, happiness, excitement, all those things. That when we can deal with those and handle those, yeah, to your point, yes, exactly, we can reset that nervous system to where maybe our heart rate doesn't rise, and we're a little bit calmer, and you can regulate it. It's biologically possible, as I've studied it and learned it in my own life, just the emotions that I face and what I do, to be able to identify it, name it, say it out loud, but also know what I need to do with that emotion, allows us to get back to a place where we can be authentic to our authentic self, but we can be confident. We can have clarity again on what we do, and just live with this clarity of mind, knowing that, you know what, I can be confident.
Yeah. Hey, you kissed gratitude, and I want to talk about that because I was told of an interesting piece in, I think it might have been the Wall Street Journal, about the value of gratitude as it was just pertained to overall well-being. But you reference things to do like with the reset of the mind. First thing that happened to mankind was that breath was breathed by God into Adam. And the first thing we do when we're born, someone slaps us, so we take a breath, right? Yet,
Yes.
yet when we are playing and panic setting in and the golf ball's going all over the show, and then you're worried about oh goodness, the family's at home and there's all sorts of stuff on the go, we almost don't take that breath. Speak about the breathing some, please, because I know you understand the concept.
Yes. Well, breathing is just, it gives you a second to not let the emotion of the moment drive the moment.
Mm.
I think we have to sit in the emotion. Oftentimes, like I referenced earlier, and as I've studied with different doctors, and that emotions are good, they just can't be the compass that leads our life. And the reason for that is because usually when emotions lead our life, we usually end up doing something we regret. And I know that's my story, and um, but maybe yours too, and maybe everybody listening.
That
And
is fun.
we have to have some kind of system built in those emotions, good or bad. We have a place to allow wisdom to make a decision, and the principles that we built our life on make a decision. And even if doubt creeps in, faith isn't the absence of doubt. We often think that people look at me and my profession and they think that I don't doubt, or they look at a professional golfer and think, man, there's no way that they stand over that tee box and worry about where the ball's going. And I just don't think that's true. I think that we think just because we're a man of faith that there's not doubt in our life. Faith is not the absence of doubt, but it's what helps us overcome the doubt.
Yeah.
And that's what faith is. And that breathing in that moment to stop and process it where you are, sit in that emotion, really allows you to come back and make a decision based on who you are, what you believe in, the principles that build your life. versus the emotion that you feel in the moment that could lead you down a path that you maybe regret one day.
I love that. Be still in the emotion, just be still in the moment, because every businessman and woman that is listening to this, every young person who's sat in a test or whatever and stuff's going wrong, it's the best thing just to take a beat, just to pause
Yes.
it for a second.
Yes.
Huh?
Just say it. Just name what you're feeling. I think that's what I've learned. I'm 43, Mark, and grew up thinking that it was noble or honored to push your feelings down. Don't feel it, just push it down. But man, I've learned over time to be emotionally healthy as a leader, as a husband, as a wife, as a pastor. You've got to be able to process emotions in your life, because if not, you can never really be your true authentic self. You're kind of numb to those things. And so that's a great point, to sit and acknowledge how you're feeling. It really allows you to understand more of who you are, but also your authentic self.
You know, there are thousands of folks that are listening to this, I'm sure, that have experienced those first tee jitters. And as a club golfer or as a beginner golfer, when you're like, oh goodness, there's 5 people watching me over here, and you get on the tee, and then you just rush to get the thing over because you want to get out of there, and then it just turns disastrous. I want to say,
Yep.
working on the PGA Tour, those guys are just as nervous, and they've got the
Crazy.
emotions ramped up. But you've almost got to, and I'm getting back to your observation of just kind of embrace the moment, where you get in there and you're like, okay, my emotions are running rampant here, but I've just got
Hmm.
to embrace this. I've got to breathe. I've got to go through the things that I know to do. And then I just go ahead and swing away, kind of live life, if you will, and
Yes.
let the rest happen. Yes, because here's the thing too, and I'm going for a minute now, so forgive me. Because the shot that you're over, or the life event that you're over, is likely going to be defined by your response to what's just happened. It's not going to be the
100%.
beginning and the end, this kind of thing. And it's amazing how there's such parallels between like one golf shot where everyone's there and you're nervous and it's the first one, and then you got to do it, but you've actually got to go then and recover or do better or build on with the next shot or the next event in one's life.
Hmm. Emotions are simply just an immediate response to the present environment we're in.
Mm.
That's what they are. And to go back to you're referencing the mind. I was playing golf. I was actually playing with Davis. Davis is just an amazing golfer, and I was playing with his agent and his father. And we get on the first tee box, and out of the four, I'm the worst golfer of the four. Those guys are really good, and he's telling me where the bunkers are and where the rough is. And because I asked the question, my first question was, where do I not want to hit the ball? And which is a very amateur question to ask. And he said, well, you're asking the wrong question. It's about, you should be asking, where should I
Yeah.
hit
Mm.
the ball? And when he said that, I'm like, that is so true. And everything that it's about what we're going to do, not living a life about what we're not going to do. And it's the same with the gospel. I grew up thinking that Christianity and my faith was about what I didn't do. If I don't do this, then I'm a follower of Christ. Or if I don't do this, then I'm a better person. But the reality is, it's about what you do. That I live this way. I'm not perfect, thank God. I don't have to be. That's why we need Christ. But um, as I grow older, it's about what do I stand for? What do I do? I live my life. I love my family. I love my wife. I love my children. I love being a pastor. This is what I do, and it really helps shift that mindset to a place where, man, you can live and you can take the ball and just swing it away. Man, you can move forward and live your life freely.
Well, that's a beautiful segue to one of the topics I wanted to discuss because, golf is fraught with adversity. We talked about, you don't know what the future holds. You can do all the right things, and the golf shot might not work out, or the result might not go your way. And that's why you hear
Mm-hmm.
sports psychologists and such, and players even on the tour, go increasingly to the, well, all I can do is control my process. That's like the watch phrase on the tour. It's like, just do my
Yeah.
process and do it again and do it again. And what happens. But we all live in hope for winning. So, but the one guarantee, almost the common denominator, is the adversity. And what you were highlighting there, to me, it sort of painted a beautiful picture to go, you know, if I'm there and I'm okay with whatever happens because I know who I am, then if the shot goes way offline into trouble or whatever the case might be, I'm going to be okay because I'm firm in what I believe. I know I've been doing the right thing, and I can just go back there and have another opportunity to excel and to bounce back. It just not might not be in the place that I was sort of hoping it to, but who knows what the future may hold from where you currently are.
Hmm. You know, it's such a great way to say it, because there's one thing we all have in common as humans with breath in our lungs, is that we're going to go through adversity. We're going to go through trials and something difficult. And we've heard it our whole life. It's about, well, you said it. It's about our response to it.
Yeah.
But in the middle of it, it's hard. It really is. No matter if it's a relationship issue, maybe it's a physical issue, whether you're sick, or man, maybe it's mental. That's something you're going through, that, because when your mind goes, your actions will follow. And it's why it's so important to make sure that our mind is so sharp, and because it could be thrown off track so quickly. And in the midst of that adversity, it's almost like it's hard to see any hope, and it's hard to see anything that's the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. And so for me, it's my message is always back to a message of purpose, which means I have to have something bigger than what I'm facing.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me. I read this statistic the other day that 8 out of 10 people, if you were to ask them this question, Mark, they wouldn't know the answer to it very confidently. And the question is, why are you on this planet? Like, what's your purpose? Why are you here?
Yeah.
And many people say what they do. I'm a golfer, and that's great. I think that's amazing. You've been gifted to hit a golf ball. But the reality is, we were created on purpose to bring glory to God in some way. And and for those listening that are professional golfers in the golfing world, that's how you do it. Like, our purpose is always to bring Him glory, whether it's our attitude, our relationships, our job, our profession, what we love. That's our calling. That's our avenue, our vehicle to
Yeah.
accomplish that great purpose. And so when you're going through something difficult, adversity, whether it's on the course, off the course, in your marriage, out wherever, to have something bigger than that to fix your eyes on, really allows you to get through it a lot more gracefully and a lot more hopefully, and with friendships and relationships along with that. But to your point, there's one thing we have in common. We're going to go through something difficult, but our mind has to stay focused on the right thing.
I'm so glad you would say that because you ask about questions asked, right? And so me as I still give a few golf lessons here and there between broadcast commitments. And one of the first questions, if I have not, known you and you're a new client, or even if you are a new client, I'll sort of say to you, I'll ask you, who are you? Tell me about you.
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
are your strengths and weaknesses? And basically an assessment of who you are. And then I'll say, what are the goals? And a lot of folks will be like, I want to be more consistent, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And then you'll get the handful of folks saying, well, I also play golf for fun, and it's for enjoyment, and it's for stress relief. And then you watch most of those golfers playing, and it's hardly looking enjoyable or relieving their stress whatsoever. It's likely increasing their stress
Yeah.
because you tee off and one shot goes wrong, which is a given. Trust me, it happens on the
Hmm.
PGA Tour as well. And then it's just like it becomes 4 hours of hell. Where what you're
Yeah.
saying, it's like, well, go out there and play. It doesn't work out so good, but I'm good because there's a different purpose about me, and I just happen to be good at golf.
It's so true, because we take ourselves so seriously sometimes, and I tell people when I play golf, I really don't have a reason to get mad, because it's not like that. It's going to be I'm going to hit a great shot every time, but life is really about the perspective and the attitude you choose going into whatever it is, and if you can get that part right, man, I don't think we laugh enough, Mark. I don't think that we have enough fun. I don't think our souls are full of joy enough. And a lot of it has to do with maybe our outlook on something, or the way we handle a situation, or our perspective. And man, when our perspective shifts in to where we're like, man, I have a lot to live for today. And I may not have this going well and this going well, but I can name 10 or 12 things right now that I could be grateful for, that in one moment can shift your perspective back to a place where, you know what, I'm going to choose joy. Joy is not going to be handed to me every day when I wake up. This world is not going to give me joy. But you know what? I can choose it and I can find it, whether it's in a friendship or something that someone did for me later on, or a memory, or shooting a text to someone saying, "Hey, thank you for several years ago for giving me that opportunity. I haven't told you enough," or "Hey, I appreciate what you said." And just this, we can find that joy in anything we do. And I don't want to look back on my life, and I know you feel the same way. We've had many conversations, wishing we would have had more fun, wishing we would have laughed more,
Mm.
wishing we wouldn't have taken ourselves so seriously. Why not start now?
Amen. Along those lines, I want to borrow something from a good friend. He's been on this podcast a few times. And a bad shot, and I'm sort of pivoting to golf a bit, but I'm building on what you say. He would call, his name's Brady Riggs, and Brady would call it a bad shot. He would call it an opportunity to excel. Because whenever the ball's gone, you've now got a chance
Great.
to go and show off, who you
So
really
great.
are. And it's kind of like life as well. Stuff goes wrong. It's actually an opportunity for you to become a highlight reel, because if you watch all Tiger Woods highlight reels, a lot of those shots weren't coming from in the middle of the fairway. They shots from in the trees
Hmm.
and bunkers and stuff and all that sort of thing. So it certainly is a mindset. And to the giggling, the laughing, the joy thing, folks, just so you're aware, the first time I met Brandon, I was invited to play golf with Brandon and another man called JC. No, was JC along? No, it was yourself
Yep.
and Patrick Time
Yep.
and
And Kyle.
Kyle Jackson. Yeah. And so I'm essentially playing golf with three pastors, and I played like a dog. Okay. And then the next time, Kyle, pastor, invites me to play golf. He brings down another three pastors. So now there's four of them,
Yeah.
JC and a couple guys from Tennessee. And lo and behold, I played horribly. And I remember going, I'm wanting to cuss up a storm in this thing and just be the worst of myself. But because you guys belong, I sort of had to behave a little bit. But I look back on that experience now and I laugh. I'm like, how asinine, because here I'm trying to impress people where I should just be trying to do the best of me, and then everything probably would have worked out a bit better.
Well,
Yes.
I'd be lying if I didn't. Hey, I'd be lying if I didn't say there's a few times where I wanted to let some words go too. So
That's right.
it is, it's I mean, frustration or even nervousness or anger. It points to something you care about. I
Yeah.
think that's the good thing is if you get mad about something, at least it just shows that you care. I think the problem is we don't know how to stop that, and we don't know what to do with that or how to flip that. And you don't want to just laugh things off. Someone made a comment just a few weeks ago about a golfer who made a bad shot, and they got the camera on his face where he just started laughing. And sometimes you do have to laugh it off, but it's okay every now and then to get frustrated and get mad, and to let that emotion out. We just got to turn the page, and you got to learn how to turn the page in life so
Well,
many times.
I'm going to challenge our global tribe here. Matt Matt Kuchar is the funniest to me, right? Matt Kuchar, well, he's never done it in front of me, and whenever you watch him on a broadcast, if he gets on there and he hits a bad shot, he's like, "Oh, Matty, you donkey," or he'll say something like that. He never uses any foul language whatsoever. And then the folks listening to this,
Love it.
you could probably name golfers right now who, as soon as they hit a bad shot, it sounds like they're in the middle. They're like sailors on ships, right? The language
Beep,
choice.
beep,
Yeah.
beep.
So I'm going to challenge our global tribe to clean up the language after bad shots, because bad shots are a given.
Yep.
But hey, that self-talk is a real thing. Don't you agree?
I like the challenge. I accept the challenge. It's
Okay.
not an area I struggle with because, again, I try not to go out there and leave mad. I try to, if I'm going to play golf, and my wife's gonna let me play golf, then I can't play golf and come home in a bad mood. So if golf puts me in a good mood, then I'll get to play more golf. So
Yeah.
that's kind of something I live on.
Well, along the language thing too, it's remember your own best your best advertisement. And I want to say to everybody, and I say this to aspirant young professionals, anyone listening to this, you're a business, right? And everything you do,
Yeah.
everything you say is emblematic of who you are. And I can
Yep.
guarantee you, I've been around many big business people that you might hit some beautiful golf shots. And like Rory McIlroy says, I just hit a white ball around a field. You can do that very well. But if you're not the best professional or the best human being ever, folks are going to be
Hmm.
disinterested in you, and all of a sudden your Saturday foursome will disappear a little bit, huh?
That's so true. And man, that is such a great point. But like when I watch golf, trust me, I love watching the shots and listening to you just tell the story of the golf round of the group, and it's so fun. But honestly, I look at how they talk to their caddy, how they walk off after a bad shot, how they uh, just just how they carry themselves, how they conduct themselves. I asked the question, are you acting like a pro? You're a professional. Does your countenance, does the way you talk in a camera, does it resemble like a pro, a professional in what you do? And so that's what I enjoy watching from these guys is just how they carry themselves. And it is so important to, at the end of the day, after your round, that you're a business, and the things you say are so important, and you can't get those words back.
You don't. Yeah, I've had plenty of occasions when the words are leaving your mouth. I'm like, no, you can't get those back. Um, well, then you must be a big fan of Peter Malnati, who last weekend at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro Am was in contention, and he is one of those guys. People who don't know him, you almost think it's almost fake positivity, but this is what
Hmm.
who this human being is. I mean, he'll be in the middle of a lightning storm and find something good about that. And
Yeah.
and he did an interview after it might have been the third round, or there was a huge weather delay, and the weather was ghastly. And Amanda Renner from CBS interviewed him, and I just sat there and listened to this, going, "Man, this is almost weird that he's so positive, but it's so refreshing." And I tweeted
Hmm.
about it, and everyone was responding, going, "Yo, how awesome! How awesome! How awesome!" And and so I guess I want to ask you, as like a parting shot, Brandon. You use the term choosing joy and shifting perspectives, and I love that. How it seems to me like Malnati, no matter the situation around him, chooses to see joy and is constantly shifting perspective. So, two parts here: is that nature or nurture or both? And is that possible? Because I think certain folks are like, that's just not me. I'm a realist, is what I hear people say. I'm like, you might be a realist, but you can still see the best in stuff. So give us
Hmm.
the marching orders, please.
That's a great question, and it's funny that you referenced that interview because I was watching it in real time,
Yeah.
and I was sitting there thinking, this kid is magnetic. Like there's something about him that is, it's not just his personality. It wasn't this false humility, but like there was this true gratitude in the way he was talking, and you could just sense it. And I started thinking about the influence that um, I can only imagine that he has. Like when you find people like that in your life, that you just want to be around them. You need them. There's just this consistent um, life that they live that's just full of gratitude and the right perspective. And they're a gift. I have those in my life, and I try to be someone like that. And it's not false by any means. It's just a choice that he's made, and I try to make every day. You're the same way, and that there in a world of negativity, why not be positive? In a world of negativity where people bring you down, why not be somebody that lifts others up? And at the end of the day, it is a choice. And to be honest, when you really think about the effects of positivity in our life, I mean, we sleep better, we are more fun to be around. Our kids enjoy us more. Our spouse enjoys us more. And it's not so much a feeling; it's a choice that we make. And when I think about this idea of success, we measure success differently. Trophies and accolades and followers and impact. And honestly, success to me is that those that are closest to you respect you the most.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I can only imagine that young man is respected by the people that are closest to him. And I aim for that. And many of your listeners, I'm sure, aim for the same thing. My kids, I want to be a hero in my home. I
Yeah.
want my spouse, Amy, to to love being around me. And that's a choice. So props to that young man.
Yeah. Really. I've got to ask this because, my dad's once joked with me, and not that he's this way inclined, but he's like, a pessimist is never ever let down. And you hear a lot of folks like, well, I'm a realist, that's just how it is. I'm like, well, being a realist is inherently depressing. And if you,
Yes.
if and yeah, and I'm going to bring it to golf. If you honestly are a realist in golf, you are going to be constantly let down. Because don't you
Yes.
think golf is an exercise in, like we started the whole thing, in faith and certainly in hope? We go out there and hope every single time. Or at least I'd like to think so. People listening to this, I'd rather you, I'd, I'd rather you didn't get on the first tee and go, oh well, I'm going to suck today. It doesn't matter what I've been doing. This is going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
Yes, so hope and all this sort of thing. I said I wanted to talk about gratitude. All these sort of flow together, right?
Yes. And you've weaved them together so beautifully because it's such a gift. Like we've been given such a gift with our life,
Mhm.
to make the most of it, and to surround ourselves with great people who can pull out the best in us, and we can have great relationships, and make great choices, and have the right perspective, and friendships allow that to happen, and those on the PGA, those PGA golfers, they what a blessing what it is to be able to for a living play golf,
Yeah.
and we have so much to be grateful for. And I think when you don't understand what success is, you're always striving and reaching for maybe the wrong thing that strips the joy out of the right thing. And it's so important to have the right target as to your purpose and where you're headed, because if not, you'll be chasing something and you'll look back and realize, man, I missed out on a lot of fun, on a lot of great moments. And that's why I love that young man's interview. It was just like he really understood his purpose, what success is. It was almost like he was so privileged to be on that tour and at Pebble Beach that he was just sitting in this moment of, I'm so grateful. And I aim to be like that. And I have people in my life that I want to be like that. But every day we make that choice, in all the emotions that we face, that, man, there's some silver lining in it if we look hard enough.
Yeah, and it is constant renewing of one's mind. I'm going to ask you one more. I've kept you for a long time, Brennan. And this is also, obviously, it's fresh in my mind. I've just come back from Pebble Beach, but on the final morning, the Monday morning, I had Brendan Todd out there. And Brendan Todd, to
Mhm.
his credit, has beaten the yips with a driver. And he secured the services of a young man who's been on this podcast, a guy called Ward Jarvis, who used to stutter as a kid. And Ward has beaten this, just through obviously training, researching it, understanding it, and just putting life into perspective, basically. And the one thing he and Brendan Todd do is they call it a par two contest. And so they
Mm.
get on the green there and they've got where they should take two from. And so they'll look there and Brendan will put, well, if I chip it up to this range, 3 feet, I'm basically guaranteed to make two. And if I chip it to 4 feet, then maybe I'm going to be 85% and 5 feet and such. And basically summarizing the thing in a way to go, you know what? It's not necessarily that they're bad shots, they just aren't great. And so as a result, even though he hasn't hit the best chip shot or the best whatever, it doesn't mean it's the end of things. There's still a chance.
Right.
But if you hit that bad one to 20 feet, like, oh, I suck, then your chance of making that par two is minimized because you've become your own worst enemy. Yes?
Correct. And well, you're not gonna hit 72 or 68 perfect shots. You
Mm.
know that. I know that. There's no one that is. I talked to uh, a professional golfer not too long ago. I live in Auburn, Alabama, and it's where Jason Duffner lives. I've had a few conversations with him, and um, don't know him very well, but he was kind enough to share. And he's like, when I play around a golf, I'll have two or three shots that I'm really happy with. And I started scratching my head, like
I need
I
to.
was blown away at how few shots that these guys hit that they're really pleased with. And because they want to be excellent in their craft and they want to get it right every time, and you just don't. But as the common thread through this podcast today has been, your response to a lot of this adversity dictates how far you will go and how much fun you will have on that journey.
Shifting perspectives and choosing joy. You said it. It's become the title of this show. Brandon, you're a blessing in my life. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful you would come and join us and share your wisdom and your expertise and your insights and such. And I'm certain there are going to be people that want to find out more from you. So please share how they can contact you. Is there social media you do, or any of that sort of stuff they can follow you?
Absolutely. Let me just say, you're just such a dear friend, and you're the best in the business at what you do, and you're so gifted. And it's not
I'm
just a
taking
job to you; it's a calling. It's a calling for you, and it's obvious. You're passionate about it. You're great at it, and you add so much value to the tour, CBS, ESPN, the Golf Channel. It's just thank you for all you do, and it's an honor to be on. And yeah, I'm right here in Auburn, Alabama, over in Columbus, Georgia, as well. My wife runs our social media on Instagram. It's at Isbell Family, Isbell Family. And I'm Brandon at Church of the Highlands, all spelled out, churchofthehighlands.com. Would love to connect with anyone who maybe just heard something that they want to talk more about. It'd be my honor. My love for Jesus, my love for people, and my love for golf. When I combine those things, I can talk for hours. So, and listen for hours.
You're on purpose. And it's just typical, folks. I ask him about something about him, and then he defers and turns it around. That's shifting.
Well, I mean it, and I mean it. I meant every word. You're a great friend.
All right, my friend. I appreciate you very much. Take care of you.
All right, likewise. God bless.